Check, check. Yeah. In the meanwhile, welcome back, people. This is Wicked Chen VJ with Artist Hub Live. Check, yeah. Yes, this thing should work. Check. All right. So, welcome back everyone once again to Artist Hub Presents Talk It Out Season 2 Episode 3 with one very amazing and talented person, and I'm really honored myself to meet this person, to have a one-on-one conversation with this person today. So, calling upon the floor the multi-talented Mr. Saad Khan. Hello.
Hi, Abhishek. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you? How are you doing?
Fantastic. How's it going?
Yes, all great. Is the audio clear?
Yes, it is. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, pretty clear.
Yeah.
To begin with, how has this lockdown treating you since the day one? How has it been for you?
First of all, before we start, Mr. Kartu is saying hi, sad bro.
Oh,
Hi, Kartu, Saad, but thank you for removing one A from my name conveniently. The lockdown is going well. It's just been busy. As you can see, my hair, it's all over the place. I've just been working a lot. Humble season 1 editing is going on.
okay.
So
Wow.
final post-production process, and we are looking to get the show out very soon to the audience.
Okay, and it is, if I'm not wrong, it is coming on the Amazon.
So we will announce that very soon.
Okay, sure. So we are
Which
looking
platform?
forward.
Yeah, but we're quite excited. It's gonna come out very soon.
Okay, so we are pretty much excited, and to be honest, I've been catching up with you since a couple of months already. To be honest, it's more or less like stalking, and I've been very admiring all of your work, especially the improv section, the comedy plan that you came up with. So usually
Before we continue, there are people saying there's echo,
echo,
lot
okay.
of delay, etc. But can we fix that? Can you guys hear me clearly now?
Hey, is it better? Like, are you receiving an echo or something?
I think let me try. Wait, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, still better.
Wait, let me. I think there's some problem with my earphones, so I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Hello.
Yeah, this is better. I think there's less echo now.
Okay, fine. So, shall we move forward?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so to begin with, I've been personally admiring your entire plan of comedy section, the improvisation technique or the plan that you came up with. So my simple question was, why did you come up with that plan in the first place? Because usually when you talk about comedians, it's a simple stand-up comedy ka idea that comes into picture, that you go on stage, you perform and you end it up. But this was something hilarious as well as something very, very adventurous, because this was something that was never seen before, that too with a live audience. So how did that come into your mind in the first place?
I started the improv in 2012. It's been 8 years now since I started the improv comedy show. The first team, there was Kenneth Sebastian. There were a lot of people who are now established comedians, Sandeep Rao. And as I felt, we started doing a lot more spontaneous improv comedy. A lot of more people joined in on the bandwagon.
Right.
The idea came in because I studied in the US. I did my master's in the US, and again, I wasn't some rich kid going and doing masters. I got a scholarship, so I was lucky. I'm talking about 10 years ago. And after I came back, while I was doing my masters, I used to see a lot of, off Broadway improv shows. And I've always been a very big fan of Whose Line Is It Anyway? The improv show. So when I sort of came back to India, I realized nobody in India was doing it at that time. Keeping that in mind, took that as a challenge and started the improv, and sort of done over 300 shows in the last 8 years. And Now the theme has Danish Se, Darai Sunawala. We've also performed. We did the biggest improv Black Dog comedy work in 2019, and that also did 2018, and that also did very well. We had Cyrus Saukar who joined us and did a lot of shows with us with the improv. So yeah, it's I just, for me now, even as a director, when I'm directing, even though I have a bound script when I go into shoot, I like to. I feel whatever comes spontaneously in a scene between two actors, that magic you can't create with how much sort of
Scripting.
cemented writing that you have. You can't create that improv moment. So, and I think Danish and I both as performers, we thrive on improv.
Okay, so that's pretty much an interesting story because, to be honest, if we look at your movies, like I've been following your short movies as well, and especially The Station, and the recent one that was Humble Politician Nagraj, because the character that was invented, the humble politician, or the way you pronounce it, humble politician. So how did you come up? Was that also an improvisation that came up on the floor, or was it pre-planned, the entire characterization?
Danish had created the character through radio and through improv comedy. He'd already done a lot of his Nagaraj accent, right? So that came from Danish. I think once we started writing the script and once I wrote the screenplay for the movie, the additions there were a lot of things that came from our personal observation and also from whatever Danish and I discussed as writers. We then put the entire process together of putting the film together. And to be honest with you, the process just of writing Humble Politician Nagraj and then making it was very, very enthralling. You know, it was a very enterprising sort of feeling because we got great producers, Pushkar, Hemant, Rakshit, who gave us a very free hand. Every time I would search for feedback, you guys know. So keep in mind, for Danish and I as stakeholders of the project, and with Danish knowing the character in and out, and then building on the character. The Nagraj quotient also has kept only growing from when we started off in 2016. That's when really the whole we started doing Facebook Live videos. We did a Kannada Rajasthan video in 2016 that went viral. And I feel the natural transition and progression after doing all those viral videos or so-called Facebook videos, the natural progression was to do a feature, and we were lucky enough to get producers and then obviously the audience appreciation of the movie, and then it also ended up becoming the first Kannada film on Amazon Prime, which I think again due credit to the producers, Pushkar, Hemant, Rakshit, to Danish for sort of stringing everything together, because one aspect is to create comedy content or fun content, but what about the selling of it, right? A lot of writers make short films, make projects, but in the end it has to be consumed. That has to be really thought out.
Okay, so when you're talking about the audience consumption here, right? I guess you pretty much understand the audience accepts certain varieties of things, wherein as an artist, as a director, you have a different mindset. Which inclines towards more of a creativity, the concept, the philosophy, and everything. And wherein the audience requires something more subtle, something more easier to digest things. So how do you maintain, how do you manage to balance that thing off? Because just giving an example of the Nagraj itself, it was a very subtle movie which equally balanced both the underlying messages as well as the punchlines that were supposed to be put inside the people's brains. But when you talk about certain other projects of yours, so how do you tend to balance those both things, both the elements?
That comes with experience. We can see at the end of the day, I feel you're only as good as your last project. Success is defined as how successful you are at the moment of the particular activity, not beyond that, not before that. So for us as creators, we can never gauge what an audience truly wants. And the moment we start assuming that we know what the audience wants, we're going to fall flat on our faces. So it has to be a constant understanding of what the audience is liking, be very current, read a lot, watch a lot, know what's going on. Every time I start writing a script, I make sure first the research is a lot, because the way the world is so turbulent now, right? Everything is just it's constantly changing. You need to be with the times. And even if you're trying to be ahead of the times, it is good because, for example, we wrote the manhole scene in Humble 2.5 years ago. And recently
Oh,
it came in the papers that a corporator actually went into the manhole to clean, right?
okay.
So it's important to sometimes we were lucky with Humble. There are a lot of things that we wrote which are now coming true.
Mhm.
Of just Nagaraj, whatever he wanted to do 2.5 years ago, and with the
Right.
season 1 also that's coming out, we hope that whatever creativity and imagination we have used to propel
Mhm.
the character forward in whatever he's doing, it
Okay.
starts showing out there in real life. And that is the
Oh,
most important feeling for any comedy writer or any comedy creator, to have something that you've written come out
mhm.
true in real.
Wow, well said, and we wish you all the very best. And like
Thank you.
seriously, waiting for the entire series to come up. So before
Thank
we move
you.
forward, we have a question that
Yes.
how do this is question is from Varun Gupta. Varun asks,
Right.
how do I enter acting classes without like how do I enter acting without classes? Basically,
So
he's
I'm
trying
going
to
to
ask.
ask Varun. Thanks for your question, Varun. I'm going to answer it in a very subtle manner, yet I hope it drives the point home. It's like saying, how do you score 100 without practicing in the nets? Um,
Absolutely.
you, it's not possible. Virat Kohli is Virat Kohli because he does that much practice and he really works on his game. So if you want to be a performer in front of the camera or on stage, you have to learn. You have to go and learn the craft of acting. You have to attend a lot of acting workshops. And if you're
Mhm.
15, 17, 18, 19, don't be in a hurry. You can take time. We've all not suddenly, gotten our success overnight. It's been a lot of struggle and a lot of work. And if you put in that kind of work, you will see the reap the benefits in a way that will make you happy. So don't be in a rush to succeed. This is to all the youngsters. And where to go for where to go to learn acting in Bangalore? Just you got everything on the tip of your hands. Google it.
Yeah,
There are so many workshops out there. I am doing an online writing and directing course this month, which is for writers and directors. Find out
exactly.
people who do acting workshops. Just Google acting workshop mediators or mentors, and you'll find a dime a dozen. It's just that today's actors are so ready to just come on in front of the camera because they look good or they have a six pack or they can dance and
The
they can fight.
personality.
What a director or writer is looking at. That's not the criteria, as you rightly said. There's a lot of other
Mhm.
things that and creators are looking for today in actors.
Wow. So the technicality part becomes the most important if anybody wants to join this industry. So people do please take notes that if you at all you want to enter this industry, it's very important to get trained first and then look for the success part and everything. So coming
Absolutely.
back to
Training is
my
very
point
important.
here,
Yeah.
you just mentioned like when you were suggesting Varun, you just mentioned the same thing that you should not be in a hurry or something. So in that
Right.
sense, when you are planning a show or when you're planning a script or when you're planning a project rather, so how much
Right.
time does it take for you to come up with something that is really good and when you're at least satisfied? Because one dilemma that what I feel that artists suffer with is something called as perfection, and artists usually tend to keep on like comparing their own stuff with their previous stuff, and then they tend to match Ari, nahi, this is not that good as previous one, and they tend to improvise again and again and again. So how does it work for you? Like how do you decide, okay, this is my perfect project? So what is the process through the time period?
So there is nothing like perfection in any field. I believe in that.
Okay.
We
Okay.
attain perfection, and we might as well just go to another planet and make a new life there. Uh, you cannot achieve perfection. It's just not possible. So if you are looking to achieve that while doing a process, it's good. It's good to try and be a perfectionist and get
Mhm.
the perfect thought or get the perfect line. But it's
Mhm.
it's evolving. You're going to be constantly evolving. So enjoy the
Okay.
experience of writing a project. Enjoy the experience of directing your short film. A lot of
Mhm.
short film make a short film and then will be like illa beda saryagi illa it's not good. I don't want to share it with anybody. I'm not happy.
Mhm.
But don't share it. How are you going to get feedback? How are you going to learn? And
Right.
the biggest point in success is failure. You've got to fail to understand the value of success. So
Okay.
especially when it comes to my process, I research a lot. I spend a lot of time researching before writing, and
Okay.
typically I take about 4 months to write a script. When I mean script, I mean screenplay as well. But that depends. It's from project to project. Humble
Project.
took a lot more time. Humble
Mhm.
season 1. took a lot of time in ideating and putting the story together. And then after that, when I started writing the screenplay, it took me about 2-3 months to finish it. But then again,
Right.
revisions and back and forth. And luckily, because I have Anish and a couple of other people in the team to feed back and forth off, it's easier for me to get to my final draft. Having
Okay.
said that, if to every artist who's trying to achieve perfection, it's a great idea and it's a great mentality and it's a great motivational factor. But if you're not able to, there's no problem. You're going to constantly keep evolving and you're going to constantly keep learning. So focus on that rather than achieving perfection, because you just can't. It's not possible. There are times where I go and watch my work of the past and I know that I would have done 10,000 things in the film before, but that doesn't mean what I made is terrible. It just means that that was at that age, I could accomplish that with all the liabilities, assets, factors, everything put in place. I could achieve that. What can I now achieve with a current scenario where I have these many resources for me to do that?
Wow. So keep your chin up always and be proud of yourself, because once you start losing like your sense of confidence, things started, getting worse and everything. So from the same point, like I would just like to ask, in a given scenario, like if you'll observe the types of movies, I'll not be naming or not, criticizing something, but when you talk about comedy here, comedy, like in today's generation, has taken a different turn, is what I feel. I'd love to correct myself, but as an audience, what I see is a couple of years ago, comedy was considered clean comedy. But then with the recent, especially since the last 3-4 years, there has been an addition of a lot of stuff. Like if I'll term it, I'd say non-veg, or I'd say 18 plus humor, which at the beginning was, I feel it was okay and people used to laugh at it. But then in the recent times, it started getting so overmixed with the original comedy that it started losing its essence. So what is your idea on that? Is that true, or is that comedy should be purified? How does it mean?
I feel it's subjective, and I feel that every film, whether it's a comedy film, romantic film, horror film, has an audience. Every film has an audience. Even films that don't do well have an audience. Even that films that do well, but the audience is wondering, that film is such a stupid film, why did it do well? Even that film has an audience. So we can always sit down and criticize, and the word today is about criticism. I don't really spend time on that at all personally. I'm very focused on just what I'm doing and the directors or the writers that I look up to, and I just watch their content. And if someone turns around and asks me, hey, what's that? I just turn around and say, I'm sorry, I was watching something else. That's pretty much it. So it's also about the... A lot of people like non-veg humor. A lot of people like slapstick humor. But that's their choice. Tell them, hey, why are you not watching smart comedy? It's up to them. Right?
Okay.
It always boils down to the approach that for an artist, that there's always going to be an audience for everyone. It's about how you're rich and how you approach your art form and how you master your one step at a time. And even by the end of it, you'll never be able to master the craft. For example, Al Pacino, who is one of the finest actors in the world, when he was in the early 70s, someone asked him about actor and acting and, how, where do you rate yourself? And he turned around and said that I'm learning. He said that I still feel like every time I do a movie, it's a new movie and it's a new project. It's a new director. It's a new script. And I have to turn my character around to suit what the writing and the director needs.
Right.
So I don't come there as Al Pacino. I come there as a guy who's got a job, and now I have to act in this film. And same with Amitabh Bachchan. The reason they're doing so much work even at this age is because they want to innovate. They want to push themselves.
Right. So when you talk about from the director's perspective, as you mentioned, like as for the actor, it's a new project, and I think even for the filmmaker, it's a new project every time, because he's having a new set, new crew, new challenges and everything. So like, is there any subtle memory of yours that were like extremely challenging? कि भाई ये तो होना ही नहीं था, ये ऐसे कैसे हो गया? And then like it was all downhill.
I mean, there are definitely, every film poses its challenges. In Humble, we had a challenge where in my script, I needed about 500 extras in the speech that Nagaraj gives. Where trying to win the elections, the corporate elections, to become an MLA. The corporate elections.
Yeah.
I needed about 500 to 700 extras, and by that time the day came and a lot of changes in the schedule. It finally
Mhm.
happened on a was not supposed to have happen earlier, where we already had sorted the extras that we need through our
Okay.
contacts and posts on Instagram, and
Mhm.
we were all.
Right.
When the day of the shoot turn came, I just had about 130 people to work with.
Okay. Okay.
It
Wow.
looked like there were a lot of people. And that particular day, my associate directors, one or two of them fell ill, and we were even short staffed. We didn't have that many people. And it was one of the hottest days in 2017 that year. Really, really
Okay.
hot. Everyone was sweating, and it was chaos. I put the entire team to tell you guys, we have got to shoot. The producers are
Mhm.
spending this. We need to get all the shots that we have decided. So we just sort of strapped ourselves and got cracking at the work at hand. And we
Mhm.
just we came up with innovative, creative ideas to make the frame look heavy
Look,
and it looked like a lot of people. And then
there are
when
a
I
lot of
went into
people in the background.
the sound design in the theater, when I went to
Okay.
dubbing, I added a lot more people in the dubbing to make it look like there are many people. So there are a lot of these filmmaking hacks that you can use.
Mhm.
And I feel a strongest suggestion for all aspiring filmmakers and film directors is
Mhm.
treat it as a very important aspect of your filmmaking craft,
Wow.
because everything that you write, it all boils
Mhm.
down to how it's put together for the final visual satisfaction of the audience. And it's
Mhm.
extremely important for you to have a right editor, a right editing team that understands your vision, that understands your script, and then that knows how to present it in
Mhm.
a nicely edited manner for the audience.
Wow. Well said. And this here's a trivia question connected to the same thing. You just mentioned that it's very important for a filmmaker or rather any artist to have a good team around himself, like people, like-minded people. And there's this amazing proverb or a quotation that says you are the average of the five people who surround you, or you're the
Sure.
average of the
I agree.
five books that you
Yeah.
read. So,
Right.
how much do you connect with this proverb, or if no, then why? Any justification here?
I'm a big believer in educating yourself with a lot of content, whether it's
Okay.
books, observation, watching content, films,
Mm-hmm.
we see constantly watching. While I'm editing, also I'm watching. I make sure that I do not hit the sack every night without watching. And I'm
Okay.
as far as the quote that you mentioned, uh, the kind of team and people that you
Hmm.
surround yourself define define your creativity. I'm lucky that I have such great people to work around. Whether it was from
Hmm.
a producer, Nish, from Mars, who's the executive producer and producer of Humble now, to Chandana, my casting director, to
Hmm.
Bharat, who's editing, who's also a director but he's editing Humble season one. All of
Hmm.
them are focused on one vision.
Hmm. Right.
Confuse the vision, or if I say multiple different ways of putting the film together, they will not be
Hmm.
able to achieve that for the team.
Right. Right.
So it's imperative for you to be well read, for you to be always focusing on understanding what is the latest and current trends, and watching a lot of content and being up to speed of what's going on. And
Right.
also work with people that are good sounding boards, that work
Hmm.
with you, not always tell you that you're the best. They
Wow.
should, when you say, hey man, that doesn't work. Scene you shot, you might find it really cool, but five of
Hmm.
us don't find it fun. And then I, as a director, have to take that call and be like, yeah, that scene needs to not be in the edit. I
Yeah.
can't sit down
It's
and
improvised.
be like, no, no, it's ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, and I mean, I
Hmm.
full ಪಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಸೀನ್ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ನಾನು.
Hmm.
ಅದು
Right. Right.
ಏನೋ ಅದು ಎಡಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. It can't
ಇರ್ಬೇಕು
be like
ಅಂತ.
that. Yeah, it can't
Okay.
be like that. It must be a collective, a collaborative. See, a film, as much as a director is a captain of the ship, a feature film or a show is a
Hmm.
collaborative process.
Wow. I think this is one thing that like pretty much of the people who are into, especially the younger generation, like me, myself, or the younger ones who enter into this field, is one thing that they forget is it's always the teamwork and not just the individual, personality. Because what people usually do is they tend to put in so much of me, I, me, myself, yeah, मैं ऐसे करूँगा, वैसे करूँगा, and उस
It
case
doesn't
में the
work.
entire craft becomes, defamed or something, which is very, very sad. And this is
Yeah.
one thing that everybody should, learn from Mr. Saad Khan that I'm talking to you right now, that teamwork is important. That was very well said. And we have one
It's
question for
always
you that
about.
is,
I think it's always about. I'm sorry to interject, but it's always about. A lot of people find it very funny when you become approachable, and that's why I do a lot of workshops because I find it satisfying to just have to talk to people and just make it feel like none of us what we're doing anything which is fantastic that we have to be separated out as wow individuals. I'm just lucky to be able to have the job that I had.
wow.
If I don't work hard enough, I lose that job and someone else will get it, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people misinterpret and misunderstand that it's all about talent. Talent is important, but it's more than talent. It's about hard work and it's about persistence and it's about how much are you
Sure.
willing to passion convert to a disciplined way of working.
This is a line that I think like it really hits me hard, and this thing, I think this is a line that it should hit every artist. Like, how do you convert your passion into a disciplined profession? Because
Yes.
this is where I'm leading my next question to, because artistic things are one thing, like I'll not name any character as such, but when you talk about the performing arts, like be it acting, singing, dancing, music, rapping, everything. So especially when we are in the younger generations, we get so much into मुझे अरे I love hip hop, अरे मुझे पसंद है ये चीज, मैं इसको करूंगा, मैं गाने के लिए करेगा, मालूम है क्या तेरे को. So they tend to get so much into that creativity, but that at a point when they are like at a very bigger age and like number wise, they forget to monetize it, they forget to disciplinize it, and then it goes haywire. And then they start blaming their families and they start blaming circumstances. अरे मेरे को मौका नहीं मिला, मुझे ये करना था, वो करना था करके. So how does an artist who's just into the budding phase, how does he plan his next 10 years? So is it only like invest in your arts and grow it up, or are there other managerial sectors, the economic sectors also that he needs to balance? And if yes, then how does he do that?
Planning is a good thing, but
Okay.
what happened now with the world, right? With Corona and COVID and everything, you can't plan because if you plan, it might happen, right? I really really believe in destiny and luck. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but
The secret.
that yeah, I believe in destiny. I believe that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right? And you
Right.
can't change it. So yes, hard work and building your craft is very important. If
Mhm.
you can plan of how you want to see yourself 10 years from now, but you
Mhm.
should also do it in a very practical manner by working on I keep repeating it by working on your craft, by being a knowledge database. By if someone today talks to me about movies in a gathering, I know for a
Mhm.
fact that I will unleash onto them like every other movie that I've seen
Tremendous
because that's
amount of
the amount
knowledge.
of
Yeah.
movies that I've watched, and I take
Right.
pride in that. It's like Michael Jordan. I mean, not in comparing. There's no comparison, obviously.
Right.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you look at Jordan's latest documentary, which is The Last Dance. He
Mhm.
it's about his wanting to win. He never really
Mhm.
charted out a plan for 10 years. He just wanted to win every game.
Right.
He wanted to
Right.
win every championship, whether it was for the team or for himself. And
Hmm.
that defined him. Steve Jobs wanted to do something in the world to leave behind a legacy.
Right.
Once after he got pancreatic cancer, he wanted to be remembered that he's contributed
Mhm.
something to the world.
Mhm.
So I think the motivations of where you want to be 10 years from now or
Mhm.
5 years, the motivations are more important than the plan in itself because
Oh.
you never know what can happen. I always say this to everyone. A lot of people come up to me after an improv show like, man, how are you guys so funny? Like on the spot,
Mhm.
how are you able to make it so funny? How are you able to do different characters like that? You guys are so amazing. And I always think in my head before I start flying that what if I wake up one morning and I'm not able to speak? It can easily happen.
Okay.
What am I going to do
Okay.
then? Our entire livelihood depends on our communication and how we're able to present ourselves. If that
Right.
goes away from us, we are nothing. So we have to
Wow.
be very, very cautious about making high claims about who we
Mhm.
are and who we can be. Because at the end of the day, we are weak as individuals in terms of our physicality. Anything can happen to us. right?
Okay.
One
Yeah.
people
Totally agree.
across the world have died because of COVID-19. So you never know
COVID.
what's going to happen to you.
Hmm.
My,
Wow.
that's
Sorry, come again. Your voice just cracked.
that's my view on planning.
Okay. My God. To be honest, like Saad Khan looks like a very simple, very joyful, and very joystick person. And this is the thought and the philosophy behind the man who's there right in front of you in the camera. So I'm so happy to know that there are so many thought processes going behind. And I think that is true to almost in every artist and every true artist who wants to dedicate himself to his craft. That there's so much of thought process that makes them good at that particular stage there. Okay,
Thank you.
so this is a very cliched question, like don't mind, but I'd still like to ask because you're a South Indian, am I right? From
Absolutely.
Karnataka.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Right?
Kandita. Kandita. I would not be anything other than being a South Indian. The South
So
is
I'm
place in the world, and Bangalore is the best city in the world. Anyone says anything otherwise, I'll be like, yeah, man, just suck it up.
yeah. Yeah, so really happy because I'm myself from Bangalore, so I totally get your feelings. So what I'm talking is in South India, like if you'll agree, for us, performing arts and all the artistic things are always secondary. They are like the extra masala that you add over the food. The primary meal is supposed to be your education.
Right.
Especially the entire South India is just like I don't know why, but that's how we South Indians are brought up. So when you were growing, like obviously you might have realized at a very young age कि भाई नहीं मेरे को तो पढ़ाई लिखाई नहीं होना मेरे से. Maybe you were
No,
good in studies also. You were
I never
included.
thought like that. I never thought like
Uh,
that. I give education a lot of importance. I
okay,
feel
everybody,
without
please listen. This is an important statement. Yes, sir. Please once again.
I, without education, it's even if you're an art, education only adds value. If you're going to bypass education to become an artist, you're making a very big mistake. That's according to me. That's my personal view. I
Right.
personally have gained a lot from doing my mechanical engineering degree, from doing my master's degree. I have gained a lot. I have every step of the way, I have used my education to my benefit, whether it's being respectful in conversations with people, whether it's being on conversations such as this, whether it's writing. Education has helped me come so far. So I will not at all discount the value that education brings to the table. I would never do that.
Wow, and I think this is something that everybody should know, and like this should be the epitaph or something written in bold because what we usually do is the current generation people, the artists, they tend to think that इस पे लग जाओ पूरा, you put your heart and soul into it, and studies are not required, and maybe that is why the parent crowd or the elder crowd does not think of supporting the artist because they think ये कुछ नहीं करेगा जिंदगी में, पढ़े छोड़ देगा यहाँ पे.
You have to put your heart and soul in it, but balance it out. Don't put your
Yeah.
heart and soul in something, especially during your formative years, your age between 15 to 23. You will never obviously get those years back. Those 7 years or 8 years is your formative years because that's when we learn better. And once in those formative years, you've educated yourself properly, and then you get into real life and practical life because practical life is very hard, it's very different.
Very
When we are in
different.
college, we are like, yaar, ಏನಿದು college, ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ. But that's when you realize, yo, college was so good. ಏನಾಯ್ತು life ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ತುಂಬಾ
Yeah.
pressure ಇದೆ ಆಚೆಗೆ. ಏನಿದು world,
Uh,
and you get into that phase, right?
let's
So
go college back. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I always believe that having an education is going to ground you. It is going to give you a support system. It's going to be like a foundation. It's going to stick you through hard times.
Okay, and we just have a comment that says "E sala kappu nammade." My God, that's a. I would not like to comment on it. Saying it since the I don't know.
Fair.
ಈ ಸಲ ಕಪ್ಪಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಇಲ್ಲೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡಿ. So anyways, so let's chill out a bit. Okay? This is a small section that I do with everyone and I try to harass them over the session since I have the opportunity. So this is basically called Pani with VJ. So I hope you know
think,
what.
in the current context, I think you should avoid using words like Harris and stuff like that. But anyway, go on. I'm just messing with you.
I am sorry, I forgot I was talking to an improv master. I'm extremely sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no,
So this is basically called Pani with VJ. So I hope
Sure.
this is a lower budget version of Coffee with Karan. So
Okay.
yeah. So
I
what
don't
I'll
have
be
pani
waiting.
with me. I hope I don't have any pani with me. Is that okay?
Oh, it's absolutely fine. It's online completely.
Sure, go for it.
So what I'll be doing is I'll be giving you certain situations. I'll be asking you certain questions, or I'll be giving you name of certain people.
Sure.
Like all the people whom you know usually with the
Sure.
pop culture reference or politicians or anything. So you'll have to give me one line from a movie dialogue or any line from a song that would suit their personality or would suit the situation. Sounds nice?
Okay. Try. Interesting. It's hard, but I'll try. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Okay, starting with the very first person that we have is Arvind Kejriwal.
Oh wow, Arvind Kejriwal. This is a tough one. Words are all I have to take your breath away. From words. Voice
I don't know. I don't know if he will ever listen to this, but I think this message should reach Arvind Kejriwal. Next situation: you are walking down the road and you suddenly fall into a manhole. The song that comes to your mind.
I suddenly fall into the manhole. Okay. This is interesting. The Adele's song, Hello.
Okay, hello from the other side.
Hello
Listening to your hello, there's a girl who comes to pick you up.
I imagine that I've fallen inside the manhole and from the manhole and I'm like, hello.
Okay, so listening to your hello, there's a girl who's come to pick you up and she's your childhood crush.
Okay.
The song.
That's the song for her. Childhood crush. Fun. This is interesting. Wow. My heart will go on from Titanic. Every night in my dreams, I see you, I see you.
Okay, and this would be a little bit embarrassing. Listening to your song, she says, "Appa, ನನಗೇನು English ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡು."
Oh, wow, what a Kannadalli ಮಾತಾಡಿ. Yeah, okay, so then for her it'd be like, "Tu cheez badi hai mast mast."
Okay, so when you are singing "Tu cheez badi hai mast mast" to her, you have your mom coming towards you and she listens to what you're doing. She sees what you're doing.
Okay, and I have to now. Okay, movie dialogue. To my mom, रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे बाप लगते हैं, पर नाम है शहंशाह.
And then you suddenly have a slap on your face from your mom.
Wow, slap on my face, and then I'll be like, sorry, Justin Bieber.
Oh, okay. So like I'm just asking, since Saad Khan is so much into singing, like into writing, movie directing, poetry as well these days. So do you sing as well?
No, not at all. I have no such fantasies of. I'm already people call me Emo ka Farhan Akhtar already. I'm very happy with singing.
Okay, otherwise I would have just pulled you into singing the songs. But anyways, so that was the first session.
If I sing, I know for a fact that in sci-fi movies there's this connection that goes weak and the phones will start cracking. That's gonna happen.
Yeah. So anyways, looking forward for this session once again. I would like to pull you someday for a live performance at some other point of time. So
thank you.
This was for the water wala section. We'll come back with the water once again once we fill in the tanker once again. So this is one very serious question when it comes to the artistic culture or everything. This is rather I say this is more of a trivia question basically. So you've been in US, you've been outside India, and you've seen the people.
One thing the Sheetal is saying, Saad Khan sir, can you talk in Kannada in one sentence? ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಮಾ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಖಂಡಿತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ನಾನು ಏನ್ ನಿಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು
ಶೀತಲಕ್ಕ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ
ಅಷ್ಟೇನಾ ಕನ್ನಡ ಓಕೆನಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ
I think Sheetal is either looking for vocabulary.
Smile ಹಾಕಿರ್ಲಿ Sheetal, one smile ಹಾಕಿರ್ಲಿ comment section ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Sheetal, if you are watching this, please smile.
Boy said, "Oh, you huduga." Okay, sorry. Sorry.
This was a bit.
You huduga.
Sheetal, but no problem. Sheetal, but you can still smile. You can still smile. Not a problem, yaar. Smiling.
Smile one chappale ಹಾಕಿರ್ಲಿ.
Smiles are not feminist, so you can still smile. It's okay, absolutely.
ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಹಾಕಿ, no problem. ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಒಂದು ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Okay,
sir.
Sorry.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So you've been outside, like you've been in the States, you've seen the way people work there, the work culture when it comes to movies and everything. And then you've been to our own country, our motherland, and then you've seen the way people work here. So what is that one difference that you like, you point out? Okay, there is one thing that is different from the people who make movies there and the people who they make movies here.
The difference is always going to be there, but I never really focused on that. Because the primary objective is to make a project, is to make a film.
Yeah, okay.
The difference is the reason that it gets exciting. If in the US it's about punctuality and discipline, here you can push the crew a lot more, and they will work over 6 o'clock in the evening. In the US, if the shift ends at 6 p.m., nobody's going to stay for a minute more.
Okay,
But
so
here,
it's that strict there.
Here, if a director requests the light crew, requests the camera, it's take another 20 minutes till the director gets the shot. So so there are pros and cons to both styles of working.
Okay. So, this was something very new that, like, I personally realized that things are so strict with respect to timings and everything there. So, in that case, suppose you were to extend a project or there was something that was required, like it was like in India, जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं थोड़ा देर अरे स्वल्प मार्कोंड होगा ये खत्म कर लो. There's only थोड़ा a little bit of portion left. So, is there that?
Sorry, there is a certain adjustment quotient even in the US, but not as much as it. But having said that, I personally don't take that for granted here. Yakandre, the light team here, the camera teams in Karnataka or in our country, they work really, and they don't get any recognition. It's all behind the scenes, right?
Right. Correct.
Project, there is a limited time, the light crew of 10 to 15 men, and they work very hard, comparison illa. So the moment they bring so much of sweat, blood, hard work, I have worked with light men who have stood on rostrums. Rostrums are high, high apparatuses where people stand on top and put a light, which is maybe 30 feet high, 20 feet high. And they're standing there in the hot sun, and they only can come down once the shot is done.
Wow.
He cares about those wonderful human beings. So I feel like it is different, the processes, but every person in a position of some sort of a power or position of some sort of hierarchy should really focus a lot on their crew and make them feel important and special. Even if it's a small smile, even if it's a small hey gidira, chanagidira, yen samachara, that much is enough. It'll make their day. It'll feel like they're just a part of another project.
Wow. So being so compassionate in this entire industry, does it always work out in your favor, or is there a possibility of it going the other way around as well, of being taken advantage of?
And to be honest with you, I'm not as compassionate as it seems. I mean, I am quite a taskmaster on location, on set. On shoot, I'm a taskmaster. I definitely demand my associate directors. I put them in very difficult situations. But that's because I have to get the job done. So I play good cop, bad. I always make sure that everyone at the end of a project knows that I respect the amount of time, effort, and patience they have put. Important. But you can't going into a shoot is like a battle. It's like war.
Okay.
Some injuries are sometimes to ego, some injuries are to physicality, some injuries are to psychologies. There are injuries, but what you really get, move past it by looking at the larger picture, the project. My first associate director for Humble, the season 1, he almost gave up because there was too much stress on the project. But he internalized, and then he came back on set on the next day, and I thought that was very brave of him to do that, because it's very easy to quit today. Things are so difficult, or in life in general, that you can quit like this. But quitting is the easiest option. Quitting is the lowest. You have to aim for the apple tree or the mango tree. You can't just quit.
Got it. Chitra, will come back to your question once again. Don't worry. Before we move to that question, there is one more thing that I wanted to know it from like your perspective or your vision or something. Okay? So what usually happens is, as you mentioned, you play both the good cop and the bad cop and everything. So that's like, once again, as you mentioned very early, it's like maintaining a balance. But are there any times when the actor or the person who's in front of the camera is not able to see your vision and is delivering something else, and your vision is completely different, and then you have to get that thing done from him which he's not or she's not agreeing to. So how does that work? Is it always in a jiffy, or is it who's getting convinced? How does that work in a scenario, in that battle?
I mean, it's very subjective, but it definitely, if an actor is not understanding what you want from that actor, you have two options. One is you do your best to creatively and communicatively explain it to him or her. Two
Okay.
is you take a break and if you are being hard on that actor, take the actor on the side and talk to them without giving them directions in public. Third one is you
Hmm.
replace the. So you
Okay.
have these. I
Okay.
always, in my entire career, I think I've had only one or two options where I had to go to the third option to replace. But otherwise,
Hmm.
pretty much the directors should have clarity. And that comes with learning the craft, reading, maybe attending film school if you have the chance, if you can get a scholarship,
Hmm.
or learning on through YouTube. There are so many tutorials now. It's amazing. And you can, the most important thing is communication. You need to be able to communicate your idea effectively in whatever language that your
Okay.
project.
So when you talk about your projects, like it's almost everything that comes from experience here. Like be it your understanding, be it your the way you work in your craft, etc., etc. It's all a different story. So my
Right.
question is basically with respect to how, like you mentioned, the director is the captain of the ship. He's supposed to lead the crew, right? So how important is it for the captain to know everything about the ship? Like for example, if you're the director of the movie, there's editing, there's post processing, there's post production, there's pre-editing, there's the lights, makeup set, etc. It is very obvious that one director will not be able to do everything, but he has to simultaneously observe that he is getting things done from everyone. So how important is it for the director to get trained in all these things, or
Chitra
does it
has
come with experience?
I will definitely answer your question, but I think we just have some limited time. So after this, we'll just get into questions. But to answer your
Yeah.
question, it's a very simple answer. Vikit. It's if take the director's role in a movie or
Mhm.
uh, in a web series to be
Right.
equivalent to what coach is in a team. A
Mhm.
coach needs to need to know every player's strengths and weaknesses. And
Okay.
that's what a coach will be able to take a team to victory or defeat. A director in a similar manner has to know everything about the movie, has to know everything, all about everyone in the movie, in the crew, their strengths and weaknesses. The director, he or she should know how to be able to balance it out and able to communicate with every department the way they have to communicate. They have to
Mhm.
communicate with producers in a certain way. They have to know how to communicate to the editor in a certain way. They have to know how to communicate with their cinematographer in a particular, with their associate directors in a particular way. A director should
Mhm.
always inspire, motivate, set goals, make sure that the targets are achieved, make sure that the performances are on point. So, a
Mhm.
director getting, uh, getting a movie released or getting a show out outside is like giving birth to a baby, literally. I'm
Okay.
not figuratively. It's not as painful as giving birth to a baby. Of course, I'm not equally comparing them, but
Equally.
definitely
Yeah.
it is definitely close to it because you have gone through so much in that 9 months or 1 year, so many
Okay.
emotions. A lot of times I'm angry, but I can't because if I become angry, then the entire set becomes dull. So I have to control my
Done. Yeah.
emotions. Patient. A
Mhm.
director, our actor is not getting their lines. I'm patient. Patience is a virtue, and earlier I was not as patient, but I think with time I'm also getting patient. So definitely there
Mhm.
are lots of tools to become a good director, but you are not going to become a good director in your first film. I've done 3 feature films. I'm doing my first web series now, and I'm constantly
Mhm.
learning. Always going to be learning. I'm never going
Wow.
to be perfect. I'm never going to be the best director in the world because there's nothing like that. For some people, it's Christopher Nolan. For some people, it's Rajkumar Hirani. For some people, it might be Nagatali Chandrasekhar. It's
Mhm.
just three different
Perspective.
things and three different perspectives.
Okay. To summarize a few questions that came up on the screen, right? So it's basically how to react to negative criticism here.
So
So if
Chitra is quite elaborate, and I'm
question.
going to answer Chitra. Chitra, first of all, I can understand that you're being trolled. A lot of us get trolled, but I think the easiest fix to the problem is to just imagine waking up one morning and thinking if this person who's trolling you is important to you or not. If they're not important to you, your answer is there. That's it. If they're important to you, then you should be worried about it. If they're not important to you, you shouldn't give a damn. So the easiest way to turn away from trolls is to laugh at them because you are doing work. They are not. They're just typing out whatever they want. It can be filthy, it can be abusive. It's their loss, it's not yours. In fact, look at it this way. If they are writing on your comment section, if they are sending you messages, then they are spending time. You're not. So if you want, you can even not read them. You can even block them. I do this every time someone abuses me or says something bad. I just block them, and I feel
Right.
so happy because now they
Wow.
can't reach me. They can't see anything that I'm doing. I just hide them. That's it, and it's easiest. And I know they feel very bad that oh my god, it's so egotistical. Saad Khan blocked me, and some other friend of them will message, "How can you block my friend?" And I'm like, first of all, I'm not doing it because as Saad Khan. I'm just another person who doesn't want you to abuse me, so I'm gonna block you.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So believe in your talent, Chitra. Don't worry about what people are saying because people will always say the wrong things. There will be people who will be there to support you. There'll be people who will be there
Mhm.
to motivate you. People out there who are going to always make you feel small. It's up to you who you want to choose. Choose happiness. Don't choose other things. And there's a beautiful thing about horses. When they're riding in a race, they have horse blinds, which means they can't see
Focus.
the other, and that
Right.
horse blind allow you to go in your path without being distracted by what's happening around you. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. And Chitral, definitely all the inspiration from Sir Saad Khan, and also your name itself, your username itself, I think it defines your personality. It's Chitral underscore power girl. And I think all the power is there within you already. You need not worry about that. So there's one more question that's very interesting. How are you so energetic? That's a good question.
Patanjali.
Oh,
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm
Ramdev, are you
absolutely joking.
listening?
I'm absolutely joking. No, Ramdev, Baba Ramdev and I we're close friends and we chat on a regular basis. In fact, we both go horseback riding when we can. I'm again joking.
Okay.
Uh,
Ramdev, are you still listening?
uh, no, I think it's just genes. I'm just lucky to have been blessed with genes which make me energetic. Uh, but yeah, I have my moments. I have my moments where I just want to lie down and watch content or just read a book. But luckily, I'm blessed that I have work. I don't get too many lazy moments, so that's good.
Okay, so coming to the last part of this section, which is once again funny trivia part to end the entire conversation on light note. So this is basically once again me troubling
Once again,
people and not
I'm
having.
sorry, I have to do this again. Geeta is again asked me, Saad Khan sir, speak something ಬೇಡ ಏನ್ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಮಾ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು
Okay, one
just
second. Is this a girl or a boy? Okay, Geeta is a girl. Yeah.
Geeta is a boy, then I don't know what to do with humanity today. I'm going to just put my hands up. But Geeta, ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಮ್ಮ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಏನ್ ಸಮಾಚಾರ ಊಟ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಕನ್ನಡ ಓಕೆನಾ
Arey. Geeta, if there's anything else, please feel free to text. If seriously, sir might respond.
Okay.
Last part of the question, once again. Suppose you have been given this golden imaginative opportunity, you are in a third dimension wherein there are some legendary movies and you are making these movies as originals, not a remake. And you are your own casting director and you are supposed to cast these movies, cast lead actors of these movies with someone else in the current scenario. Who would it be? So my choices before I start the name of the movies. What would you prefer? English, Hindi, Kannada, or mix?
Anything, mix, anything is
Anything.
fine.
Okay, so okay. If you were to remake Sholay, who would play Jay and Viru?
Ah, who'll play Jay and Veeru? I think I would choose Vicky Kaushal as Jay, and
Okay.
we would be Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
Okay. Vicky Kaushal and Nawazuddin Siddiqui. Jack and Rose, Titanic.
Jack and Rose. Jack and Rose. I think I'm gonna go for Rose. Rose. I would say I really think there's something about Tara Sutaria. She's got a very
Okay.
interesting for Rose, and I think Jack. I would probably go with. I would say Varun Dhawan.
Varun Dhawan. Okay. Babruan.
I thought he couldn't act, but after I watched Badlapur, I think he has the chops.
Okay,
Person.
like just to add, I seriously love his song First Class.
Okay,
In that
nice.
song, the entire range of expressions that he has shown, it's very beautiful, and I seriously think he has a lot of talent. Babruana,
I,
coming back to the question.
which one?
Babruana, Kannada.
Huh. I'm sorry, I haven't watched it, so I wouldn't be able to do justice.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Any old Rajkumar movies if you have seen?
Uh, I have seen two. I watched Minchana Uta with Anant Nag.
Minchina
If
Uta.
that,
Okay,
you know.
okay. So
Um, if I had to put someone else in Anant Nag's role, I would say Shivraj Kumar sir.
Shivraj Kumar. Okay. So if you were to make a horror movie, if you were to make a horror movie, so who would you cast here?
Any horror movie?
Any horror movie, yeah.
I think Kareena Kapoor would be very interesting.
In a
Horror.
positive light or negative light?
No, I just a horror film. I wouldn't try to say
Okay.
positive or negative. She's a very interesting actress, and she's not tried horror as a genre.
Okay. Oh, so mind blown perspective. Okay. And if you were to make a very sad, depressing love story, like where the people die in the end. So you're not
I
audible, sir.
I said I will never in my life make a sad, depressing love story because there's already too much of sadness and depression out there. So if
On
I make
behalf
a it'll be a fun, enjoyable
of
love story.
On behalf of all the youth of entire Karnataka, thank you so much for saying that because we don't need sad ending love stories anymore. Enough of
Yeah,
Mungaru Male everywhere.
I'm not. I like watching them. I like actually watching a lot of dramas. But as a filmmaker, I don't think I have. I'll do justice to it because I might get too dark, and I don't want to do that because a lot of comedians have a really interesting dark side, and I don't want to explore that too much. I like to make films that people remember.
People, okay, fine. So this last question of yours, of mine, sorry, last question to you. If not comedy and movie making, what would have been Sankar doing right now?
Oh, great question. I would have been a travel blogger. I would have been traveling. And I know even
Okay,
in this scenario, but I would be a travel blogger. I would be either Nas daily or I would be assisting him.
okay, wow.
Or Nas,
So
his name. I think it's Nas or Nas. Yeah, I think it's Nas.
Nas Daily,
Nas daily. Yeah, I
that's
think
1 minute.
yes, that Nas daily,
Yeah.
and I think I'm so hooked on to what they do, and I'm so jealous in a good way. Like yeah, I would have loved to travel, and I am going to travel. I've started actually. I started traveling last 2 years. So I'm going to travel a lot, but this COVID has just sort of
And
beautifully come
like
into way
since
of
you
all
started
time.
traveling, even COVID started traveling, and then both the traveling plans got
Yeah.
parallelly locked down. So yeah, so that was all, sir, from my side. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope we did not bug you very much. Any
No
last
problem. There's a lot of fun.
messages
Yeah.
for all the people? Any messages for all the people?
Message illa just ಸೇವಾಗಿರಿ and ಜಾಸ್ತಿ tension ತಗೋಬೇಡಿ. Nothing's going to happen with tension. So stress is not a great thing. I know we're all very stressed with what was happening, but look around you, be thankful for your parents, for your support systems, for your friends that really love you, and as much as possible embrace love and say no to negativity, say no to hate. If you want to criticize, think in your head before criticizing that someone else will be criticizing you very soon. And believe in karma, it's real. What goes around comes around. As much as possible, don't say anything negative about anybody because it comes around and it bites you. So that's pretty much it. And enjoy yourself and be nice to people because if you're nice to people, people are going to be nice to you.
That's the underlining message always. If you are nice to people, people will definitely be nice to you. And no wonder why so many people are so nice to Mr. Saad Khan sir, with whom I'm talking to you right now. It was lovely talking to you as a person. Thank you so much for spending your time with us, sir. Thank you so much. And
Anytime.
all the best for the upcoming sessions.
Vicky, take care. God
Yes.
love. God
Take care.
bless.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
So that people was Saad Khan sir, one of the finest directors, one of the finest movie makers, and one of the humblest persons that I've ever met in my entire life. Such good messages from everyone, right? So everybody, please quickly go to Saad Khan sir's profile and check out all his movies. Especially check out Humble Politician Nagaraj. It's the entire movie is there on Amazon Prime along with subtitles. So even if you're not understanding Kannada, you can watch the movie. It's pretty fun. Korean movie देखते हो यार, ये तो देख ही सकते हो वहाँ पे. So I'll catch you guys on the next episode with another amazing artist. तब तक के लिए everybody bye bye, take care, stay safe. Vijay Baba signing off.